This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. No Grant, unfortunately, as we are here in our summer series. Grant is off shooting caribou and moose in the great state of North Dakota. No, that's not it. He's teaching a summer camp in North Dakota. He's about 30 minutes from the Canada border, though, so he might as well be in Canada for the summer, for gosh sakes. But he will be missed, but we'll do our very best to keep him in spirit around the studio, around the show, because it is the Bax and Grant Sports Show. It's not the Bax Show, obviously. So as much as I try to make it, but, Grant always has to have the last word at certain things. But anyway, welcome, everybody. This is our first of our summer series. We're very excited about it. We will only be broadcasting on Mondays on Sports Radio America from 7 to 10 Eastern. You can also check us out on Live 365 and tune in. You can also listen to us on demand anytime on Spreaker.com. You can download our podcast on iTunes, and you can also listen to us on iHeartRadio. You can also find us on social media. We've added a few new fun things recently. We are now on Snapchat. Fun fact, we're now on Snapchat, so go and add us on Snapchat, BG Sports Show. Give you a little behind-the-scenes look of things that happen during the show, before the show, after the show. Crazy random antics that Grant and I do. You never really know exactly what's going to end up on there, so go and add us, BG Sports Show, on Snapchat. Same for that on Instagram. And remember, when you do use Instagram and you use the hashtag #TheBaxGrantSportsShow, you are able to have that picture show up on SportsRadioAmerica.com and also have it show up on the Instagram account as well, using that hashtag. So you can also find us on Facebook, though. We do a lot of interacting with our fans on Facebook via the Bax and Grant Sports Show Facebook page. And then you can also check us out on Twitter as well, at BG Sports Show as well. A lot of fun stuff happening today. A lot of fun people we're going to be chatting about. We're going to be talking about the Women's World Cup, the New England Patriots. Zach Poppenfuss and Connor Christensen are going to swing by the studio to offer some thoughts. Zach is going to be talking a little bit about the NFL and some of the quarterbacks that we're curious to know how they're going to do in 2015. Connor Christensen's got his fitness tip and his fight corner. UFC 188 was a big deal last night. Some surprising news coming out of it, depending on how big of a fan you are, who you're a fan of. And we'll also be joined later on in the show by Joshua Thompson from SidelinesApp.com. But before we get to all of that, like I said, we're going to talk about the Women's World Cup, which pretty much means that Grant isn't here, because the only reason we're talking about soccer is because Grant's not here, because, that's just how it works. But we have the pleasure of being joined by social media manager of Howler Magazine, Sonia Kondratenko. So, Sonia, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you?
I am doing just dandy. I'm so glad you could join us. Thank you for taking some time out of your day.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're always welcome. You know that. It's wonderful to talk soccer with a fellow lover of the game.
Yeah, always.
All right. Well, Sonia, before we jump into some in-depth stuff with the Women's World Cup, give us just some general thoughts about how you think Team USA has done so far.
Well, I think from what I have seen, which I'll give you a little backstory. Monday night when I went to go watch the game, we had a tornado warning here. Ooh. So I missed half of the game because, DirecTV went out at the bar, and we were all trying to stream on our phones. But I did get to see all three goals.
Oh, good. That's all that matters.
Yeah, that is all that matters. Two from Rapinoe, and Press with her first World Cup career goal.
That's huge for her confidence.
Exciting. Yeah, definitely. Australians
fantastic.
didn't seem to take the loss too well. There was actually an article that was posted on Australian women's soccer website that is funded by their soccer federation.
Oh.
Kind of saying that the women, USA women, were outplayed by a better team who was down a couple of their key starters and their keeper, and basically the only reason that they won was that because Hope Solo was saving all.
Isn't that how it's supposed to work, though? If the other team's goalie makes the saves, that's usually how the other team wins. But I mean, no, I was just saying. Go ahead. I was going to say you can see a lot of different things
too. They took a couple digs at the USA, for playing a pretty basic formation and all of that. It was quite interesting.
A basic formation. Well, I mean, we saw that even against the Sweden team, that all 5 of the U.S. forwards played in that game. whether they were at forward or if they were out at right midfield. I know I was watching the game and I was a little shocked because I was like, oh, they've got all 5 of their forwards have now come in the game.
Yeah, but that game had a lot of people really stressed out. I know, especially on social media, I was seeing all kinds of gifs and memes and just general expressions of frustration.
No, that's a very professional way of putting it. Thank you. I love it. Well, yeah, definitely. Do you like Kristen Press on the wing? I'm not sold.
I mean, I'm a Kristen Press fan.
Well, I am as well. Yeah,
a general fan of her. I think that trying to find the best place for her is key.
Yeah, no, she's an interesting character out wide. I wasn't a huge fan of Press and LaRue starting up top together just because I feel like you need Abby or Alex in there as a veteran. Sydney's big and strong and fast, but for some reason I've never been a complete Sydney LaRue fan because of how I just feel like she doesn't do a ton when she has the ball.
And there was a little bit of a handball drama with her in the Sweden game. But, a possible handball that didn't get called. And Sweden had one as well, which also was missed.
Was it missed, though? Because I went back and looked at the replay several times, and that ball was darn close to, shoulder / almost chest.
They didn't call it, though.
Well, obviously, but was it a handball in your opinion, though? Because the announcers are like, nope, that wasn't a handball.
It looked like a handball.
Yeah, it was close. It was really close. We're not exactly sure. So looking at the group as a whole, though, for the U.S., they're in the supposed group of death. Nigeria sitting on the bottom with only 1 point, Sweden with 2 ties with 2 points, Australia now with 3 points, and the U.S. with 4. Going into Tuesday's game, does the United States have to really worry about a lot from Nigeria? Because we thought that Nigeria was going to destroy Australia because of how much they spread the game out against Sweden.
Right. And they're fast, which I think is going to be part of the U.S. strategy is to try to slow them down a little bit, especially in the first half. If the U.S. comes out of this group on top, then they're going to have a slightly easier time in the group of 16 and on to hopefully the quarterfinals. If they finish second, then they're more likely to face teams like Brazil and Japan, which are going to give them a little bit of a run for their money, especially with Japan being the current champs.
Yes. Well, yeah, Japan is undefeated so far. They're one of a few teams that's undefeated in the tournament so far. What did you think about the Germany game where they went from blowing out Ivory Coast 10-0, and then they go back the next day and they tie 1-1? I'm a little confused about that. I totally understand the whole blowout, and we saw Switzerland do that as well to Ecuador. But but Germany going from blowing out Ivory Coast to then tying Norway 1-1. Now both of those teams are both at 4 points in Group B. Is Norway better than we thought they were?
It's kind of amazing. I have some friends that are from Germany or are big just German soccer fans in general, and they were a little frustrated with that Norway game.
Well, rightfully so, I feel like.
Yeah, and I think also people who are kind of new to soccer or just kind of casually watch or, hear things about Germany, especially with Germany against Brazil in the World Cup last year, just kind of maybe expect Germany to have these big blowout games. And I saw some things on the internet, that Germany-Norway wasn't as exciting. It didn't have as many goals, which is, I think a little bit of a more American way to look at it.
Yeah. Yep, exactly. Yeah, and it's interesting, too, because Thailand, they have 3 points. They're sitting in third place. I mean, you could technically say they're in second place because Germany and Norway are tied for first in that regard. So if Thailand wins their last game, they could potentially go through.
Yeah. This group setup is pretty interesting.
It is.
And, I'm excited because this is the most teams that have ever been in, the World Cup, the Women's World Cup, and more games. So we're going to see, I think, some surprises.
Do you have an early favorite right now? I mean, obviously, I think a lot of people were picking U.S. or Germany going in, but even Sweden, too, is rumored to be, a high-profile team. They're number 5 in the world right now.
Right. And they are are big for USA. Sweden and USA are pretty big rivals, and our former coach is now the coach of Sweden. So that game was, I think, the most crucial for us. And to lose it would have been, I think, a little hard on the team, or frustrating. We wanted to come out with a win, but
yeah, there was a few opportunities, but you can't deny the fact that individual effort by Megan Klingenberg on the line to save that beautiful goal.
Clearance.
Oh my goodness! But Hope Solo didn't look too terrible in that game. I know she was a lot better, I feel like, in the first game. Do you think she's done a good job so far of putting all of the domestic abuse charges just in her back of her mind right now?
Oh man, I couldn't imagine to be on such a big stage and then have all the drama surrounding yourself going on in the media. Mm-hmm. So you just have to tune it out and focus on what you're there to do.
Exactly. I think she's done a good job of that thus far. I mean, you haven't really seen her. We haven't heard too much from her in the media as a whole, but I feel like during the World Cup there's only so much you can really hear from players as a whole. But she doesn't really look like it's bothering her, just because she's been so focused and so concrete with some of those goals. And that one goal that was scored against her via Australia, like, that was almost any goalie would have had a hard time getting to that hard of a shot that near the post, because goalie would have looked at that shot and thought, oh, maybe that's going wide, but it just happened to hook appropriately. So, Well, looking forward, though, for the United States, and also looking at Canada as well, because Canada is top of Group A right now, the host nation. They're 1-1-0. Do you feel like Canada is underproducing, or are they kind of doing what everybody thought they would do?
Ooh, that's a really good question.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, Canada has been having a pretty serious soccer year last couple months with CONCACAF and big attendances at games and a lot of excitement about soccer in Canada. So I'm just excited for them in that regard. First and foremost.
Fair enough. Well, they take on the Netherlands on their final group game on Monday. Looking at some of the other games that are coming up, Ivory Coast and Norway, Thailand, Germany. I think the world would stop if Thailand beat Germany or tied.
Oh, I think it might, actually.
Because it really, a lot does hinge on that Ivory Coast-Norway game for Thailand, because Ivory Coast needs to beat Norway, and then Thailand needs to win and or tie, I feel like, to get through. So
yeah, it's going to be exciting. I mean, it's hard. What has been hard is there's so much soccer happening right now with Copa America and a lot of all kinds of soccer happening in America and the World Cup. When I have to do other things and I see these Twitter updates, oh, this game's happening, or I turn my TV on, oh, this game's happening. It's really easy to get distracted and kind of fall into following other teams.
Exactly. Same I completely agree with you. I'm happy that I'm not injured, but the last two big tournaments that have happened between the 2012 Euros and then the World Cup, I was actually laid up with injury via surgeries and other things. So I had the opportunity to actually sit at home and watch all these tournaments. So
good timing.
I'm glad that I am healthy, but I'm upset at the same time because I can't sit home and follow all these games. I'm like trying to carve out my schedule to at least catch the USA games, but it's been fun.
I was the one awake at 3 a.m. last night for under 20 World Cup.
See, I don't really understand why they're broadcasting those games at horrible times. Because I would watch if I knew, but I've had friends too, like you, that have been like, I watched the game at 4 a.m. I'm like, what?
I didn't mean to be awake, but I kind of got sucked into this. And, they went to penalty kicks against Serbia and ultimately were eliminated. After 8 or 9 rounds of penalty kicks, they went to sudden death. And I mean, if you're going to go out, I guess that's a very dramatic way to go.
Exactly, yeah. There's not much you can do about penalty kicks at the last bit. So, well, fantastic. Sonia, thank you so much for stopping by today. We really appreciate it. Sonia, I know your name, I promise. Sonia Kondratenko is the social media manager for Howler Magazine. Go check them out. And you are also the photographer, you said, for the Baltimore Bohemians, correct?
Yes.
All right. And where can the good people find you on Twitter, ma'am?
I am at Sonia Karate, SONYAKARATE, on all social media, Twitter, Instagram, You can come find me there.
Sounds good. She's a fantastic photographer. Sonia, thank you so much for joining us, and please enjoy the rest of your day.
Oh, as always, thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
I'll talk to you soon.
Sounds great, Sonia. Have a good rest of your day.
Take care. Bye.
All right, bye-bye. All right, well, we're going to go to a quick break. When we come back, Mr. Sid Powell, our resident Patriots fan, is going to stop by and chat with us to talk a little bit about Brandon Spikes, talk about Matt Flynn. I will be so happy to bestow Matt Flynn upon him now as a Packer fan. I'm so glad he's gone. But we'll get to that and so much more about the New England Patriots, and then Zach Poffenfuss and Connor Christensen will stop by a little bit later. So this is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. No Grant, unfortunately, as we are in our summer series. Grant is off in North Dakota working at a summer camp, teaching his son Liam how to hunt moose and skin them alive. Well, maybe. I don't know. It's important things that a father must teach his young boy. When you're in the Dakotas, there's buffalo there. I'm sure Liam will come back with like sleeve tattoos, and he'll just be like, a buzz cut. He'll probably have like a black eye. Like, that's just what happens when you go hunting in North Dakota. But anyway, speaking about sports as a whole, as you all out there know, the sports world has been taken aback recently by things that have been happening with the New England Patriots, including Brandon Spikes, Matt Flynn, Tom Brady, Deflategate. We could go on and on and on and on about all of that. But I figured who better to talk about the New England Patriots than one of their biggest fans, Sid Powell. So, Sid, welcome to the show. How are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing good. Thank you, Bax. How are you?
Oh, not too bad, sir. I'm glad you could join us today.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
No problem at all. Well, Sid, we'll jump right into it. You are a big Patriots fan, but you're one of the fans in terms of how you really just soak it all in. You're not relatively too biased towards the team. You obviously call it as it is, but which is something that people obviously admire and respect about you. I want to dive right into the whole Brandon Spikes issue right now. Mm-hmm. For those of you that don't know, Brandon Spikes has been in the news recently because he got released by the Patriots after he had abandoned his car on I-495 in Foxborough. He supposedly hit a car in front of him and fled the scene, and his car was impounded, and the Patriots organization got word of it and were not pleased by it and thus released him. Sid, what's the buzz around the Boston area right now in terms of that? It says that Spikes is facing up to 4 citations, including speeding and negligent driving, for his role in the accident that happened earlier this last week.
From what I'm hearing back, there's just no nonsense policy on any behavioral issues with anybody, especially after the Aaron Hernandez incident. Mm-hmm. The people in Boston, just my opinion, they were really surprised that we signed Spikes back to begin with. He didn't leave on the really best of terms, but to come back in less than a month into OTAs to be in trouble again is just not a good sign.
Yes. Well, Spikes played for the Patriots for 3 seasons, and then he had just recently agreed to a 1-year deal worth $2 million, only just back on May 16th. The only guaranteed money that was in his deal was $25,000 signing bonus, so he'll at least get that money. I'm sure he'll have to pay that to either pay his bail or pay off his bills here now with all his fines. Is it just really one thing after another for the Patriots organization, Sid, or are the Patriots just sick and tired of all this bad press that are coming their way?
I think that follows success, to be honest with you, Bax. You're a target, and you're on top. People are gunning for you. You really don't have a whole lot of wiggle room if you've had previous incidents like Spygate. It doesn't bode well for you. So,
yes.
Success breeds contempt.
Well put. Well put. That's exactly true. Well, I mean, I did see a report today. An article that came out 2 days ago via ESPN.com that said the independent analysis from the Wells report was actually deeply flawed. And you and I have had this conversation in the past about Deflategate. We won't spend too much time on it just because we don't want to bore people with, an 8-hour ESPN special about Deflategate, for gosh sakes. We had talked about this and how you had already kind of found your own flaws with the report as a whole. Do you have some general opinions about the Wells report that you'd like to share?
Well, it's just kind of, to me, it's kind of flawed in the fact that the punishment, I don't think, fits the crime. I'm not saying the Patriots are innocent by far. I mean, anytime somebody has anything to report on a team, there's some substance to it. But that's about the harshest penalty I've ever heard for any team, or especially with a player involved, because you normally don't get a team and a player punishment at the same time.
Usually, yeah. It's usually just the team as a whole. Okay, we'll find the team or we'll find the player or suspend or whatever. Like, you can't exactly suspend a whole team. You can remove certain privileges, but not usually suspending a whole team.
But I've never seen anybody really get the kind of fines and penalties that the Patriots got based on probability.
Do you think that they were rightly deserved, or was it over the top?
It's a lot over the top. I mean, just a couple of seasons ago, if you remember, there was a game with the Minnesota Vikings and I believe it was the Seattle Seahawks where they were seen, the San Diego Chargers, and the Minnesota Vikings, where the balls were being shown on TV, being warmed up in front of a heater, which is the same violation of inflation rules. Mm-hmm. And it was a $20,000 fine slap on the hand, and away it went. So, and I guess that what really got me that what got left out of the whole report was the fact that the Indianapolis Colts balls were measured second before the second half started, where all the controversy started. And based on the weather and the conditions, those balls were allowed to inflate to the proper level. So by the time they were measured, they were game standard. So
okay.
A lot of things that were left out of reports that just really would have affected the decision, I think.
Yeah, and after reading this article that ESPN.com had posted, the last little blurb of the article, it says, our recommendation is that when the NFL hears Brady's appeal of his suspension later this month, it should proceed with the knowledge that the Wells report is unreliable. So in that regards, I think that it's something that people need to take into full consideration, because when the Wells report came out, the fact that as many people did take the time to read all 200, and I believe it was 43 pages of the Wells report is impressive. And I don't even know if when the private investigator Wells did take the time to write it, if he thought people would read the entire report. He was hoping to maybe bore them enough that they would just skim over some of the important details. But it's hopeful, though, for Patriot fans that Brady won't maybe be gone all 4 games. But we did see the Patriots kind of go out and grab some insurance recently as they signed former Green Bay Packers quarterback Matt Flynn to a 1-year deal. Now,
correct.
It raises a little bit of suspicion because I felt like the Boston community was relatively behind Jimmy Garoppolo if Brady was going to be gone for all 4 games. Is this an insurance policy for the Patriots in case Jimmy doesn't do well, or is this competition, or what exactly are they looking for with this move?
Well, quite honestly, I mean, if that's the most experience you have as a backup quarterback on the team, then you have to be concerned. I mean, the last experienced quarterback as a backup that the Patriots had, I think, was Brian Hoyer.
Yes, yep, and then we saw him go to Cleveland, and that all went from there.
And he's actually the last quarterback that actually played, if you want to call it that, behind Brady, other than the season Brady was out.
Yes, with Matt Castle did a fantastic job.
Yes, he did. But they brought him along slowly, and they really didn't have a chance to bring Garoppolo up to speed to really run that offense. Mm-hmm. It's a very complicated offense, as you've seen. There have been big-name players that have come into New England and just couldn't cut it. Chad Jacinko comes to mind. They just couldn't get the playbook.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can take that many different ways with him. Very, very true. Well, it's interesting, though, because Matt Flynn, he's not a rookie. He's not a 2 or 3 year guy in the league. He's been in the league since 2008. He's been around the league enough. He had his one claim to fame with his Well, his two claims to fame, because he had that big game against the Patriots, where they almost beat the Patriots in Foxborough when Rodgers was out on an injury. And then he had that big game against the Detroit Lions where he, broke all kinds of records, and people were saying he was the greatest quarterback ever, which, was far-fetched and stupid. And then we see him go to Seattle, and he gets paid $20 million to never start a single game for the Seahawks because Russell Wilson decided to turn out to be way better than the team thought he would. Then he goes to Oakland, doesn't do much at all there, plays a few games, but as we all know, he doesn't do well. Goes to Buffalo, doesn't do well, and then ends up back again in Green Bay. And ends up saving some people. Yeah, so it's hard to really get an idea of just how good Matt Flynn is, and if this move by the Patriots is more for the fact that they just need another insurance policy in case their second-year, I guess, almost rookie, because he didn't really play at all last year, actually pans out or not. Now, it's interesting because ESPN, I love ESPN on and off, really just depends on the day for me, for them. They were kind enough to post a stat the other day during their broadcast about Matt Flynn that I thought was rather interesting. If I can find it. I thought I had it. Maybe not. There it is. That since 2008, Matt Flynn has the lowest total quarterback rating out of all active quarterbacks. He has a 27.7 quarterback rating. Some of the nice big names ahead of him are Mark Sanchez, Chad Henne, and Matt Hasselbeck. So that kind of tells you the company that Matt Flynn's rolling in. And it boggles me why so many Packer fans love Matt Flynn, because I've never been a Matt Flynn fan. Never have, never will be. And I'm glad he's gone, so you're welcome for that one.
Well, Belichick has a way of doing things and rolling out a carpet people don't know exists. And,
yes.
You got to give him credit for that. So it might be all camouflage. Who knows? He still has to make the team.
Exactly. That was the big thing when they brought in Tebow a few years ago, too. It was like, oh, Tim Tebow's going to be a Patriot. Wow. But then he didn't make it through all the cuts, and a lot
Correct.
of, we don't know what they tried to do with him or not. And now that Tebow's back in the NFL with the Eagles, who knows if he'll even make it through camp or not either.
I wish him well, but I just never, even in college, saw Tim Tebow as a NFL pro-ready type quarterback.
Yeah, no, I've always struggled with him. I thought he was a decent-sized player for college. I thought he was a little bit too big for the college game, but he helped Florida do what they had to do. He won a Heisman. He won some national championships. I mean, he's got a great college resume. I feel like he'll probably end up in the College Football Hall of Fame one day, more than likely, but aside from that, doesn't have too much of a claim to fame in the NFL.
Well, first round draft picks are scary to begin with.
Yes.
So I'm not really too concerned about first round draft picks with the Patriots normally, because unless it's something of a need and something that's basically been researched to the point of exhaustion, I just don't see it really mattering much, because most of our talented players didn't come in the first round.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the great thing. I mean, even thinking of Mr. Tom Brady, he was a 6th round draft pick. I mean, you don't necessarily think you're going to find your franchise quarterback anywhere after even round 3, and the Patriots found arguably one of the best quarterbacks, if not, the best quarterback to ever play the game, deep in the 6th round.
This is true.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for stopping by today, Sid. We really appreciate it. I'm sure we'll be checking in with you, I'm sure, later on in the summer once more things with Deflategate and Brady and everything come out. So appreciate you taking the time today, sir, and we'll be chatting with you soon.
Thank you, and I want to congratulate you on your recent wedding to your lovely bride.
Thank you so much, sir. I'm really excited, and you actually had the chance to be there, so thank you for being there. I appreciate it.
It's a great time. Enjoy the show. I appreciate you having me.
No problem, Sid. Anytime. Have a good rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, Max.
Bye-bye. All right, that was Sid Powell, our resident Patriots expert. Good man, lots of fun to talk to, very knowledgeable about the NFL. We are going to take a quick break. When we come back, Zach Poppenfuss is in the studio, and we're going to chat about some of the NFL quarterbacks in 2015 that we think might surprise you, not in a bad way, in a good way. We've got that and so much more coming up. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. No Grant this summer, unfortunately. He is out at North Dakota teaching at a summer camp, so he's training today's youth to be tomorrow's leaders, something like that. I don't know. He's not in politics. But anyway, I'm just going to keep making stuff up over the course of the summer when Grant's not here until he actually calls in when he gets cell service on the top of a pine tree holding a moose, chewing a piece of gum. I don't know. Anyway, I'm so glad because we now have Zach Poppenfuss in the studio with us. Zach, how you doing? Welcome to the show, sir.
I'm doing well. How are you today?
Oh, fantastic. I was trying to, I don't know. I make stuff up when I go on the air. You know that.
Yeah, I do.
You've been friends with me long enough that you know that I'm not responsible for anything that comes out of my mouth. Or something like that. I don't know. Anyway, Zach, I'm glad you're able to be here today. I've asked you here today so we can chat about some of the quarterbacks that we think will be a surprise in a good way in 2015 in the NFL. So I don't know how many. I have 4 on my list. How many do you have on your list, sir?
Well, you have 2 of mine, so I have 2.
Okay. Well, we can both chime in for some of that.
And then I'm going to talk a little bit about some O-line stuff that's going on.
Yeah, so not a problem.
That's always pretty cool too.
Oh, of course, that O-line. That's crucial. You were the O-line in high school, weren't you?
Yeah, I played on both sides of the ball. So I was
there you go, two-sided athlete. I love it.
I was really excited when we'd call run plays. Oh. That went away from me because then I knew I had a better chance of getting a sack when we were on defense next.
Ah, there you go.
So I was well rested.
Ah, yes, right. No, we ran counters the whole play. They just went all to the left.
Not that I wasn't blocking on the backside.
No,
that's important too.
It is. It's very important. You gotta watch that outside linebacker sneaking in for that shoestring tackle. Well, all right. So some of these players that we want to talk about in the 2015 quarterbacks, I have Phillip Rivers on my list. I think he'll surprise in a good way in terms of I think we will be talking about him higher than Peyton Manning. I think that Phillip Rivers is sick and tired of being sick and tired, and now that he's got a few relatively good options for him in San Diego, I think that we're going to see him emerge as one of the top probably 3 quarterbacks in the NFL next year. I think it'll still be, even though if Brady does get suspended for 4 games, Brady's still going to be a top 3 quarterback no matter what. I think it'll more than likely be Brady, Rivers, and Rodgers next year as your top 3 QBs. Peyton Manning, we already know that he'll be top 5 because Peyton Manning's going to have to be 2 feet in the grave before he's outside even the top 10 in the NFL.
He just needs 2,000 yards to pass Aaron Rodgers for the passing record too. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he gets 2,000. It's like 1,000.
I would assume that Rodgers doesn't do much. What Rodgers we know
to pass Brett Favre.
Oh, to pass Brett Favre. You said Aaron Rodgers.
Did I say Aaron Rodgers?
Yeah, I was like,
I totally going.
I'm like, but Rodgers is going to be playing at the same time.
Yeah, no, he only needs 2,000 yards, and Aaron Rodgers isn't going to throw any.
Apparently, I don't know. Put in Scott Tolzien. Audible. Packers are switching it up.
Have Edward Ayers play at quarterback.
Yeah, right. He played at high school, didn't he? I don't know.
He did.
Randall Cobb played QB at Kent State, I think.
They have 6. They have like 6 former quarterbacks on their team.
Jordy Nelson played
QB.
We're fine. Why did we sign Matt Flynn 2 years ago when people were freaking out?
He plays cornerback or safety or something.
Haha?
No. Well, Kaha might have played in high school.
I feel like everybody played QB in high school. I played QB in high school. I was a kicker.
What's his name? Connor didn't play QB in high school.
No, he didn't. We don't have Tremont Williams anymore. Sam Shields, Morgan Burnett. I don't know.
I can't think.
I don't know who you're thinking
of. It was in a broadcast this last year. They were like, "Yeah, didn't you know he played quarterback?"
Oh, I was like, I don't know.
No, I didn't know that.
No idea.
But anyway,
so do you disagree or agree with me on the whole Phillip Rivers pick?
I agree in so much that the Chargers have their head together.
Yes.
They know what they want to do.
Mm-hmm.
If the people they brought in can do what they want to do, I think they can be dangerous. Their division isn't too scary, unless Kansas City decides to wake up again.
But even then, their defense has really started to take a blow recently.
They started to fall asleep at the end of last year. And that's all it was.
And Alex Smith isn't a top-tier quarterback.
No, they have the players and they have the coaches, but it all has to be together. And last year they started to fall asleep at the end of the season.
And I think as long as Jamal Charles is on the Chiefs, I think that the Chiefs will still be a contender no matter how good or bad the rest of the team is. Jamal Charles makes that team.
Oh, yeah. And the O-line, I'm going to go back to that. The O-line for the Chiefs kept them in it last year.
Yes.
even though the rest of the team was falling asleep, they tuck him right behind that O-line. There are a couple plays last year where the entire play was broken, but two guys blocked.
Sometimes that's all you need.
And Jamal Charles did his job. So
yeah, that's why people love him so much in Kansas City. Next name on my list is Nick Foles, the now St. Louis Rams quarterback. Is he one of the guys on your list?
Foles was, yeah.
Foles was, okay. So I'll let you start with Foles since he was your guy as well.
So obviously, Foles has come off a couple rough seasons.
Yes.
I mean, when he's healthy, he plays really well. He's good at running an offense, and not a lot of people appreciate him for that. They think, he makes the good throws, he makes the plays when he needs to make them. But he actually is good at running an offense, identifying defenses, and he really leveraged the Green Bay Packers when he played against them. Got Connor going crazy over there.
Connor was an advocate for Nick Foles going into fantasy football last year because he took Foles in one of the first
the second round. He took him in the second round.
And
I remember.
I ridiculed him. Everybody's like, "Why are you taking Foles?"
Well, I had.
Yeah, no, Nick Foles did good. Nick Foles was a good player last year until he got hurt.
I had him in the 4th round on my remote draft, and I remember you texted me, Foles isn't available. I was like, we're on the 4th round already? He goes, no, Connor just took him in the 2nd.
Yeah, there was a few of those surprises last year. But, no, I think Foles down at St. Louis is going to be a good idea. St. Louis trying to figure out what they're going to do with their running game. They've got Todd Gurley. They've got Zach Stacy. They got rid of Zach Stacy. I'm sorry, because Zach Stacy complained after the draft, like, why did you draft Todd Gurley? Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we're going to give you the ultimate punishment and send you to the Jets. So they sent Zach Stacy to the Jets. So now they've got Trey Mason and Todd Gurley. So they have arguably one of the fastest backfields in the NFL next year.
Hands down.
Well, except for the Legion of Zoom, though, out in Philly, though. I mean, DeMarco Murray, Ryan Matthews, Darian Sproles. But Sproles is older. Murray's all right. Ryan Matthews is doing decent. I don't know exactly how you want to look at that, but we're not talking about running backs now. We're talking about quarterbacks. The other guy on our list that I think really we both share a sentiment about is Ryan Tannehill. Our good friend David Kenyon at Bleacher Report's a huge advocate for Ryan Tannehill. Tannehill just got a massive contract recently. People were a little surprised by that, but at the same time, it was a smart move. The Dolphins feel confident with Tannehill and are doing their best to give him options.
The people who are surprised by that contract don't watch game film.
Yes.
They look at stats.
Yes.
And his stats weren't what they could have been.
And that's a big arguing chip against him is because people like myself that are stat gurus, you go through the list and you're like, oh, I don't see Tannehill in any of these top quarter things.
Yeah. I'm trying to find it. There's like his number of interceptions, and then you watch the game film when he threw interceptions, and 9 times out of 10 it's the receiver ran the wrong route.
Usually, yes. Thankfully, he wasn't.
He turns left, he makes the throw, and it's to the other guy.
Tannehill was not in the top 10 for passes intercepted last year, thankfully.
No.
So that's a good sign.
That's impressive too.
Yes.
And I also know that watching some of the game film of him, there were a number of plays where, and this was actually about the Dolphins wide receivers or their attempt at wide receivers.
I was going to say it's more of an attempt kind of thing now.
But the number of times that they allowed the ball to go through their hands, tipped, and incomplete passes, and 9 times out of 10 in the NFL, if you're going to tip a ball up into the air and it's in the air for an extra 2 seconds, there's
gone.
A cornerback or a safety that's going to make it to that ball, or Vince Wilfork.
Yeah. Anytime a D lineman picks the ball off, I'm just like, I have nothing to say. If I'm a quarterback, I just go shake the guy's hand and be like, hey, I'm awful.
You mean grab him by the leg and let him drag you into the end zone?
Yeah, like, stop, please.
Don't score.
Exactly. Well, I mean, looking at some of the guys that they have for receivers next year, I mean, there's LaRon Bird. Let's see, who else do they have here? They have Josh Freeman on their team, fun fact.
Mm-hmm.
Greg Jennings is a wide receiver. They recently acquired him after they shipped off Mike Wallace to the Vikings.
That was smart.
Yes.
Mike Wallace. A number of times Mike Wallace ran the wrong route.
Yes. I never liked him down in Miami. Kenny Stills, the former Saints wide receiver's down there now.
He's a very fast person.
He is. They went out and drafted Devontae Parker. Their first-round draft pick, their 14th overall pick in the draft was Devontae Parker, a 6'3" wide receiver out of Louisville. Oh, he's got my birthday.
That's cool.
Cool. What up, Devontae?
Remember that for trivia. He's going to ask that.
Ooh, what NFL wide receiver shares my birthday? Devontae Parker. I got a year on him. I'm older than him.
And Grant will be like,
Yeah, right. They also have Jarvis Landry out of LSU. They have, who else? They have one other guy, Rashard Matthews, DeMar Altman, Christian Jones, and Nigel King. So they have a younger core of guys. I feel like a lot of these younger guys need to take the time to learn from guys like Greg Jennings. I mean, yes, he may have not have had the best statistics in the last few seasons, but he's been around the game long enough. He's early 30s, good guy he's got a Super Bowl ring. He's a good guy to go and learn from.
And my issue with Greg Jennings, not that I have a huge issue with him.
Of course not.
I was just frustrated when he went to the Vikings.
Aren't
But when he's got the positive attitude, when he's got the winning attitude, he went to Western Michigan. I'm familiar with the program up there. When we started our high school football program, when I was a freshman, we didn't have a high school football program.
Oh,
so
fact.
that was one of the that's gonna be in trivia too, Connor.
You never know. You never know. I pulled from anywhere.
But when we went up and visited Western. We visited a couple colleges in Michigan to get our playbook figured out and get things figured out there. And actually got to sit and chat with the wide receivers coach and got to sit and chat with the head coach up there. Good friends of the coach that started our football program. And they were 110% about attitude. And you could really see that in Greg Jennings when he played for the Packers, especially. And I know in some situations with the Vikings, when things didn't look so bright, I know that he was one of the people who, didn't pull the Randy Moss, didn't run to the locker room. He stuck there and he'd encourage the defense. You guys got this. Get us the ball back. There's a good mic'd. I think it's him he goes right up to Jared Allen. You need to get me the ball.
Hey, he knows what he wants, and that's why he's made such a good name about him. I mean, Jared Allen's the right guy to talk about too to get him the ball.
Yeah.
Last guy on my list, I don't think he's on. Is he on your list as well?
No.
Last guy on my list is Mark Sanchez. Now, probably a lot of you are wondering why the heck is Mark Sanchez on your list. Sam Bradford is going to be the starting quarterback in Philly this year, but Zach, apparently you have breaking news about Sam Bradford.
Oh, yeah. This just in. So Sam Bradford signed his contract, got a paper cut, out for the season.
Ooh, that's a bummer. Already his fantasy value is
on his non-throwing hand.
On his non-throwing hand, but he's done for the year,
He's done for the year. Can't take snaps, apparently.
Because, a Band-Aid wouldn't help. But anyway.
Oh, no, man. That's so painful.
No, in all honesty, though, I feel like Sam Bradford is just going to be a huge disappointment, and I don't feel like Chip Kelly's going to have the patience for it. I would not be shocked if Tim Tebow does make the roster and Tim Tebow ends up starting at least 2 games this year for the Eagles. Wouldn't be shocked at all.
What wouldn't surprise me, and Chip is wily enough to do this.
Oh, Chip.
If they run an Oregon offense.
Yes.
And instead of running an Oregon offense with the same guy out there speeding things along, I would not be surprised if Chip has basically like a flow chart of what do we do if. And so if you follow me here, you've got your first play from scrimmage. If it's more than 15 yards, bam, Tebow's running onto the field, and bam, Bradford is off the field.
I wouldn't be shocked if they do things like that because they have all 3 of those quarterbacks to cycle through.
Who's their third?
Sanchez.
Oh, Sanchez.
They have I think 5 QBs on the roster.
I know that's.
Right
I just was checking it out
because they've got Matt Barkley, they've got Sanchez, they've got Tebow, they've got Bradford. I think they've got one other guy as well.
It would be a shame if Barkley never becomes anything.
Well, he had a good career at USC. He had a bit of injuries, but I feel like if anybody gets shipped out of town, it'll be him, which is good. He's one
of those. He's one of those heady quarterbacks, though. He'll outplay you like a Manning.
Yeah.
He's real smart.
Exactly. All right. So the last guy you have on your list.
Last guy I have on my list is, and I'm completely brain farting right now.
Oh no.
Quarterback for the Raiders.
Derek Carr.
There we go.
All you had to say. I got you.
I couldn't come up with his name. I don't know why. I was thinking about automobiles, but
why Derek Carr?
Derek Carr, because he went back to basics this last year. You watched him in, and I'm huge on game film.
Yes, I've noticed that you're a big film guy.
I will go to the NFL.com and just watch games and whatever I can get a hold of. But watching him he's got a sharp release. He's really ahead of his receivers. He knows where they're going to be right when they're going to be there. And he had good, not excellent, but he had good
wide receivers?
No, he had good possession.
Oh, yeah.
So he wasn't, he managed games very well.
Mm-hmm.
There were not very many times where the Raiders got blew out last year, and that was because David Carr understood that I can take an extra 3 seconds. I'm not reading anything on defense.
It was Derek Carr.
Derek Carr?
David is Carr? His first-round draft pick brother that sucked.
Oh, okay.
So
Derek.
Carr. Yeah, that's the problem when parents name kids close to each other. It's
name him Alex.
Why can't it be like
I'm
David,
renaming David Carr
Rob.
Alex.
Alex Carr.
Alex Carr.
Okay.
So
I should just call him Boxcar. I don't know.
Then I would call him Train.
Yeah, Train Carr.
Train Carr.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so Derek is okay.
Derek.
That's why I was trying to pull it up because I didn't want to say the wrong
Derek.
one, and then I did it anyway.
D-E-R-E-K, Derek.
D-E-R-E-K.
Derek Carr.
Okay, so Mr. Carr.
Yes, there you go.
Everybody knows which one I'm talking about now.
Of course. I'll give you
Mr. Carr.
Yeah, sure.
So Derek Carr. Yeah. So yeah, he looked good. And there were games when they could have been blown out. The team that they were playing against was extremely had the momentum, and he understood to slow the game down. And so that's why I think this year he'll get better. I can't remember the name. They brought in another. I can't remember if it was a quarterback's coach or wide receiver coach out there. I can't think of the name.
Well, they did draft Amari Cooper though. The number 1 wide receiver in the draft, though,
and that can't hurt.
No, exactly. It's gonna be big for them. So I'm glad that they were able to do that. So, but Zach, unfortunately, got to cut our time with your short.
That's fine.
Appreciate you swinging by, sir. Always a pleasure. Zach Poppenfuss chatting about the NFL quarterbacks that he and I think will surprise in 2015. So we're gonna go to a quick break. Zach, thank you so much for stopping by. English is a fun thing to talk about. Anyway,
hey, it was good to be here, man.
Right. All right. Well, he's Zach Poppenfuss. We're gonna go to a quick break. When we come back, Connor Christensen's here to talk about his fitness tip and his fight corner. This is the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. No Grant. Grant is working at a summer camp in North Dakota, or a.k.a. Canada this year, or this summer, not this year. He's coming back. He'll be back in August. We're trying to get a hold of him just sometime throughout the summer, just to even get a little clip for you guys, just to give you a little snippet about him. But if you didn't hear earlier in the show as well, we are on our summer schedule. We are now only on Sports Radio America on Mondays from 7 to 10 Eastern. Check us out there, Live 365, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, iTunes, Spreaker.com, all that jazz. We're also on Snapchat, so go and add us, BG Sports Show, and for all kinds of fun stuff. All right, well, it is Monday, or it's Monday, so that means Connor Christensen is here, which is very exciting because we love the fact that Connor is here, and Connor is a fun guy to have around the show. So, Connor, welcome. How you doing, sir?
Good. How are you doing?
Oh, not too bad. Connor, you have a fitness tip, and you've got your fight corner for us as well.
I have both of those things. That is right.
Fantastic. All right. Well, fitness tip for you, sir. I'll give you a minute on the clock, and we'll get you rolling. Are you ready, sir?
I am ready.
On your mark, get set, go.
All right. My fitness tip is one that I have given before, but it's definitely a very good reminder, especially with these summer months here upon us, is to do not forget to stay active. It seems simple, but in all honesty, the biggest thing about the summertime is you sit on the couch, you have a beer, you grill out, you hang out with friends, but you don't go for the run, you don't go to the gym, you don't do whatever you can. And Baxter's looking off in the distance like, what? Well, not me. No. If you're on vacation, I have some tips that might help you. When you wake up in the morning, eat a good breakfast because that'll help your metabolism. And walk places. Don't drive if you can. If it's within walking distance, take the extra time to walk. It's good exercise. And so stay active. Fight the urge to sit on the couch and watch TV.
It's so comfy.
It is very comfy, but it will not help you in the long run. So get out, stay active, go to the gym, work out, do what you can when you can.
Sounds good. Are you doing any fun summer activities this coming months?
Well, you and I are going to be in a soccer league, hopefully that we're going to be starting.
Yeah.
That you're going to be starting. I'm just going to come around to play soccer.
People and,
exactly. That's how I play
drink
soccer.
Beer and run around shirtless.
Oh, exactly. That's like an average day for me. So, and Zach apparently.
That sounds like a good time.
Yeah, and then we're also going to be playing some tennis.
Yeah.
Which, also don't knock tennis.
No, we've become big fans of tennis recently.
Yes. Tennis is great exercise. It works you really hard, and then I'm working in a warehouse right now. So
you've got your own workout plan, basically, with picking things up and putting them down.
Exactly. Got to figure out something for my legs, but
just do some squats when you've got them. Like pick up a motor and just
a motor. I think overestimating my strength.
Nah, you got it. You got this. But speaking of strength, Connor, UFC 188 was last night.
Yes,
we
it
saw
was.
some of the best athletes as a whole. I feel like. I feel like people are like, they're fighters. They're not. Well, yeah, they're athletes. Those guys are in fantastic shape.
They have to be.
They're strong. They beat the crap out of each other.
There's a mental toughness there that a lot of people forget to, they fail to realize just how strong these people are mentally as
Agreed.
well.
Yep. So tell us a little bit about what happened last night, some surprises, the winners, etc.
Yeah, so the main fights that I want to focus on are bantamweight, which is 135.
Okay.
If you do not know the weight classes. And that was Patrick Williams submitting Alejandro Perez in the first round via guillotine choke, and it only took 23 seconds. Takes you back to the Ronda Rousey fight where, No, Patrick Williams is a great submission expert. He is... I'm sorry. That is Perez who's the submission expert, which is why this was surprising. Williams is more the takedown specialist, actually. He likes to keep it on the ground and ground and pound. He's been working on his striking lately, but he is mainly a wrestling guy. He has a record of 8-4. And which actually is surprising because Alejandro Perez has a winning record of 16-6. So Perez was the veteran going into the fight, definitely. And he's the submission expert. For those of you who are looking to get into UFC, definitely check out the UFC website. They have profiles for every fighter where they break down their height, weight, and skill breakdown, which is very, very helpful when trying to determine, who's going to...
You were showing some of the profiles to us before one of the big fights
the Rampage Jackson fight a while ago. Yeah, that's what it was.
I was shocked because, they do a lot of that stuff for other sports as well, but actually seeing that for UFC, I'm like, that's brilliant. That's a perfect way to showcase things. For even people that like myself that don't know much about the sport, it's a very helpful tool.
Yeah, and Zach Poppenfuss and I were actually watching some of the live stats on, I forget exactly if it was the UFC website or if it was, it was the UFC website. And sometimes the internet connection wouldn't allow for...
You guys were watching it in the other room, and you're like, it's the first round. No, it's the fourth round. No, it's the second round. I'm like...
It couldn't...
What?
It couldn't decide what round it was. And then everything just stopped. And we were like...
It all went dark.
Is the fight over? And as a matter of fact, the fight was over. And the fight that we were watching was for the heavyweight title.
The main event.
Yes, Werdum versus Velasquez.
Ooh.
Now, people going into this fight thought that Velasquez was going to walk all over Werdum.
Yes.
Werdum has a record of 20-5, comparable to Cain Velasquez 13-2. So Werdum has more fights, but Velasquez, the win ratio is comparable. So you, in a battle of skill, you don't necessarily know who is necessarily more skilled or not. Velasquez is a well-rounded fighter. He loves to take you down. He'll ground and pound you, but he'll stand with you. That was one thing back years ago when he was fighting Brock Lesnar for the title. he really had to work on his stand-up to keep, the big man down, and it worked, and he won the title.
Yes.
Now, Werdum is a fantastic fighter, and he's also a submission expert.
Ooh.
So the fact
I love
that
how these experts of like submission and
he is
beating your face in, and,
kicking
your dog. It's like,
not exactly,
no,
but
that's not a move.
No, the kick your dog.
He gave
I
him
think
the kick your dog. Whoa!
We'll get that going. We'll
Okay.
talk to whoever's in
Call
charge.
TM on
Dana
that.
White. Oh, I got him on speed dial. Dana White. Kick the dog. No, anyway.
Yeah.
Werdum is bigger than Velasquez in the sense that he is taller. He has 3 inches on Velasquez, which size doesn't usually matter a whole lot. It can matter for reach advantage, and when you're heavyweights, size is everything.
Yes.
Because that's how you dominate, is how big you are.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that he had 3 inches on Velasquez helped. And also, they were fighting in a higher altitude, which
Where was the fight last night?
You know what? I am not entirely sure where the
Higher
fight
altitude.
was. Yeah, no, it was.
Was it
have
Denver?
to. It
That's my
was
first thought.
Mexico City. Mexico City.
Oh, well then,
Yeah.
that's definitely a higher
Yeah,
altitude.
and people were the Bleacher Report. I was reading that this morning. They were saying that Velasquez was looking so tired after the first round. Like he came out, won the first round, definitely won the first round, and then he just was done.
Maybe
after
he
that.
was just hoping you could get it all taken care of in the first round.
Yeah, and Werdum loves to he kind of allows people to work him a little bit while he's waiting for his shot, and then in the third round, in the second round, Werdum bloodied him. Got a big cut on his head. He was bloodied. Velasquez couldn't see straight. He's tired.
Yeah.
He made it through that round. Third round, went for a takedown, very sloppy takedown, and he was guillotined.
Ugh.
So Werdum was able to pull out the submission win in the third round, which good for Werdum. He is a good, solid fighter, and I can't wait to see what he's able to do later on. So yeah, those were kind of the big fights.
All right.
On UFC 188.
Fantastic. Do you know when the next big event is at all?
Well, there are a lot of
189. Like, is it just
the
just
189? But there are other things. There's Fight Night. There's other things that are coming before that. So I don't remember which one is first off the top of my head. But
Gotcha.
I will be sure to tell you about it when it happens.
Sounds good. Connor Christensen, our local UFC health, fitness, tip, and Vikings expert. How's AP doing? He's doing good?
Oh yeah,
Loving AP?
Fantastic.
Glad he's back on the
He
Vikings.
hasn't missed a day.
Oh, that's a team player right there. All right, Connor Christensen, where can the people find you on Twitter, sir?
They can find me at ConnorDC126.
Yes, indeed, Connor DC126. Connor, thank you so much for stopping by, sir. Enjoy your week, and I'm sure we'll be chatting with you again in the near future.
For sure. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Anytime. All right, we're going to go to one more break. When we come back, Joshua Thompson of SidelinesApp.com will join us to talk quickly about the NBA Finals. And then we'll be shoving off for this week, and we'll be seeing you guys again next week. So don't go anywhere. This is the Bax and Grand Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. Welcome back to the Bax and Grant Sports Show presented by Sports Radio America. I'm Bax. No Grant. Grant is off for the summer. He is out in North Dakota teaching a summer camp to young children, so hopefully he will not corrupt them too much, or maybe he'll just make some more Packer fans because we know North Dakota doesn't really have much to cheer about, so maybe we'll, as long as they keep him away from the Viking fans, that's all that matters. But at this time, we want to talk a little bit about the NBA Finals, and who better to do that than a senior writer for SidelinesApp.com, Mr. Joshua Thompson. How are you, sir?
Oh, very good. Thanks for having me on, Baxter.
No problem, man. Anytime. So the NBA Finals, Josh, we're just going to kind of jump straight into it, have been kind of crazy. We've seen Some surprising performances. We've seen the series kind of surprise people as a whole, though. Are you at all surprised by the fact that it's tied 2-2 after the first 4 games?
No, not surprised at all. That was actually one of the things that I figured would happen coming out of this series. First of all, you have to talk about how the Golden State Warriors got to the place that they got in the first place, which was of offensive efficiency. And you know that definitely was going to take place at least 2 games were around the series, which is why they're scoring at least 100 points a game throughout the season. And then on the other side, you have a leader in LeBron James, and you had a healthy Kyrie Irving coming into this finals. So I looked for this team to at least maybe even steal a game in Golden State, in which they did. And for LeBron James to basically put the team on his back and take them to another game, which would have been those 2 games, and that's exactly what transpired here. The way that it went, however, for Cleveland to steal the game in Oakland, the way that they did, and for Golden State to come back in and with full fast form and still win in Cleveland, that one I didn't expect so much.
Yeah, I think that threw a lot of people off, in all honesty, when we saw all the craziness that happened, because, Golden State jumped out 1-0 for game number 1, and people were kind of like, oh, all right, Cleveland's done. Golden State, they're going to just run all over it. But then, like you said, though, LeBron and the Cavs just kind of come back and shock people by winning the next 2 games. And then Golden State is like, all right, enough of this. We're going to win another game. So they kind of made people relax a little bit. Golden State's 39-2 at home this year. That's a hard record to play against, honestly. So Game 5 is tonight in Oakland. They've had 2 days to rest. Now, it's pretty much LeBron James. That's almost pretty much all that's left for the Cavaliers. They lost Kyrie Irving. Kevin Love was gone before this series. Is LeBron James by himself and the small supporting cast around him enough? Or is it just, are they just trying to buy time as long as they can before Steph Curry does what we all know he's going to do?
That's an interesting question, and I'd like to point something out that Timothy Mozgov was actually one of the big players coming off a great 20-plus point performance in Game 4, and he's been pretty solid along with Tristan Thompson throughout this series. So it's hard to say that LeBron James is by himself. I mean, he's got a great front court there. It's the back court that's the problem, and that's the reason why they brought Iman Shumpert and J.R. Smith in the first place, is to get that great support on the wing, so that way when they had to get efficient scoring, when they had to get that veteran scoring, that they would have some people to back up Kyrie Irving. And now it's that time. So, yes, LeBron James is kind of in no man's land, being out on the wing himself and having to handle most of the ball along with Matt Dellavedova. But honestly, they're doing pretty good as in maintaining the paint.
Okay, what do you think about J.R. Smith? He's been kind of back and forth throughout the entire playoffs as a whole. Some nights he looks lights out, and other nights you kind of forget he's even on the team. With 2 games left in the series here, or 3 games potentially, depending on how these next 2 games go, is J.R. Smith that guy that the Cavs need to kind of turn to be that second man behind James, or do you think it's going to be a Dellavedova or some of those other guys you mentioned?
Well, definitely, you got to lean on all of your guys. You can't just lean on one guy. You can't depend on one man's performance, because that's what got them in the hole in the first place.
Yes.
Kyrie Irving went down, and then all of a sudden it was all in the back of LeBron James. He gets tired out and fatigued, and then now we have a 2-2 tied series. So, yes, you're going to need J.R. Smith, but you're also going to need, again, you're going to need Shumpert. You're going to need the Mozgovs. You're going to need the Thompson to come in. You're also going to need some veteran play coming in. Hopefully we see a little bit of Kendrick Perkins come in if they really want to slow the game down. Maybe even some Sean Marion to play some of that, get some of that veteran leadership out on the wing, especially to do some defense to help out more on Klay Thompson and Steph Curry, so that way they could break up some of those plays.
Now, sorry, go ahead.
Smith in particular, remember that he's always been a streaky shooter. He hasn't been someone that could consistently put forth 3 or 4 3-pointers a night, depending on the situation. He's not like a Ray Allen. He is a guy that is a streaky shooter, and he's a guy that tries to develop his own shot and hasn't really been working within a system. He's kind of been one of more of those Allen Iverson-esque type players. And so in order for him to be effective, they might have to run the ball through him instead of trying to depend on LeBron James' ISO, and that's not going to work into the Cavs system. So what I don't expect is for J.R. Smith to be that guy that the team is going to depend on, but I do expect for him to develop about 15 points here or there to maintain the Cavs momentum tonight.
Fantastic. Well, one more thing before we let you go here. Steph Curry, as we know, is the three-point genius for the Warriors. If for some reason Steph Curry does not show up tonight, do the Warriors have enough supporting cast to pull off a win?
Absolutely. That's one thing that people forget throughout the season. The Warriors are about 10 guys deep with pure shooters.
Which is almost unheard of.
It really is almost unheard of, and it's really hard to say for most of the teams in the NBA today. The fact that you have a pure shooter and a coach, Steve Kerr, who's helped come in and help develop this team, increase their offensive efficiency, which has been their marquee throughout the rest of the whole playoffs. The one thing is that you don't. Again, last night wasn't about Steph Curry; it was about Andre Iguodala.
Mm-hmm.
So tonight, someone else. It could be someone else. It could be Maurice Spates for all we know, who had a tremendous Game 3 of all games. So just sit back, wait, and we'll see.
All right, and your prediction tonight, sir, before we let you go?
I got the Warriors winning in a very close game, in a very electrifying game tonight. I got them at about 96-92.
Ooh, sounds good. How many does LeBron have tonight?
LeBron goes for 32 and 12 with about 9 assists, but probably 8 turnovers tonight. Might be forcing it a little bit.
Ooh, sounds good. All right, well, Joshua Thompson, thank you so much for joining us, sir. Where can the people find you on Twitter?
You can find me at 4F Apollo. That's 4 Fathers Apollo on Twitter. You can also find me on Facebook. Just look at my name, Joshua Ryan Thompson, and on Sidelines. Don't forget that. And if any of you are on Slack, find me also at 4 Fathers Apollo. Thank you very much for having me back, sir.
No problem, Josh. Anytime. Joshua Thompson, a senior writer for SidelinesApp.com. Enjoy the rest of your day, sir, and we'll see what happens tonight.
And good luck.
Thank you, sir. All right, well, this has been another exciting edition of the Bax and Grand Sports Show. A lot of fun stuff. Sonia Kondratenko stopped by to talk Women's World Cup. We had Sid Powell to talk about the Patriots. Zach Papenfus stopped by to talk about the NFL quarterbacks in 2015. Connor Christensen had his fitness tip and fight corner. And then you just heard from Joshua Thompson for SidelinesApp.com about the NBA Finals. Wow, what a fast show. It's amazing how fast the show goes when Grant's not here to get in the way and interrupt me. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, we miss you, Grant. You're a great guy. We love you. All the best to you and your wife and child as you guys are out in North Dakota. Watch out for moose and bison and other wild, scary animals. Remember, you can check us out on social media at the Bax and Grant Sports Show on Facebook. Check us out on Twitter at BG Sports Show. Remember, if you use the hashtag on Instagram, which is our BG Sports Show, use the hashtag the Bax Grant Sports Show. It will show up on our Instagram, and it will also show up on SRASportsRadioAmerica.com. And remember to add us on Snapchat, BG Sports Show. Thank you so much for tuning in. Remember, we will be live on Mondays throughout the summer from 7 to 10 Eastern right here on Sports Radio America, and you'll catch us live on Sunday afternoons on Spreaker.com. So for Grant Coppersmith, Connor Christensen, Zach Papenfus, Sonia Kondratenko, Sid Powell, and Joshua Thompson, I am Baxter Colburn. Thank you so much for tuning in. Enjoy your week, and we will talk to you again next Monday.